One invention I've worked on here in the last probably 2.5 years is the concept of free energy. I go back, one of my favorite people of all times was Nikola Tesla. He did a lot of experimenting with electricity in the early 1900s. And Nikola Tesla was a brilliant man. His concept was to broadcast electricity through the air, and every home could pick up that free electricity and use it. That was his concept. Well, then the rich people back in those days got a hold of it and started producing it and manufacturing it, and his concept fell by the way. They found a way of making money on it. And it is true today that electricity is in the air all around us, and it is a free energy. And what I've done is I like to go against the grain. Everybody tells me that there's no such thing as free energy, a machine, a perpetual machine, so to speak. Well, they're wrong. I have built a perpetual motion machine that produces electricity. And it costs nothing to operate it. It doesn't run on sun, it doesn't run on water, it doesn't run on air, it doesn't run on hydrogen, it runs on nothing but itself. It's what I call a symbiotic generator. It's a parasitic generator. That one entity feeds the other, and they feed off of each other, and together they produce 220 volts of electricity with 60 amps. The unit itself uses about 5 amps to maintain itself. And the other 55 amps goes into your home for free energy. And the prototype is here and it is working. So what people tell you about energy is all a lie. Even what they teach in colleges about electrical engineering and mechanical engineering, they will take the students to a certain point and then they stop. They run into a wall. And then the professors and the books teach you, you can't go any further, it can't be done, it's impossible. Well, people have told me that, they've laughed at me, they've ridiculed me, and yet I've done it. And I'm not an electrical engineer. I was a furniture builder most of my life. This unit is big enough it'll power 3 to 4 homes. That unit can be built small or as large as possible. I can build that unit, and I know how to build that unit large enough it could power this whole island. And those units can be built big enough to power whole cities, free. But of course, that's not going to happen. The big conglomerates, who do you think owns them? The government officials, the people like senators, congressmen, governors. They're the ones that own the stock in all these companies. Energy, they don't want any future energies. They still want to use fossil fuels and coal and pollute our earth and kill our earth when they know all along that there's free energy out there. They just don't want to do it. If a furniture builder can do this and build the unit, and everybody says it can't be done, what's wrong with this picture? There's the question for you. I've done a lot of studies on electromagnetism, magnetics. A lot of my inventions center around magnetics for earthquake-proof homes, things like that, medical technology. That are some real advancements that I'm yet working on too, but most of all my things that I'm doing now is in electromagnetism, space travel, if you will, I figured out the philosophy on that. I do have the plans that I've worked on for what I feel is the energy source for the future of years to come and centuries to come. It's nothing more than gravity. Gravity is a free source all through the universe. There's 2 things prevalent in the universe, which is gravity and hydrogen. Hydrogen is too explosive, it's too expensive to maintain, and at the same time, if a company produces it and sells you hydrogen, they're going to be at the pump holding out their hand for the payment, where gravity is a free energy source. And basically what I've done is we take the force of gravity, which is a very strong force. I take that force and run it through an electromagnetic field, in layman's language. I run it through an electromagnetic field, and converted into a horizontal energy. Once any energy is converted horizontally, it can be used to power anything. And that's basically the future of space travel and everything. I'll go on record right now, and I've been saying this since the late 60s, early 70s, that the future of space travel and everything is called a gravity anti-gravity accelerator. What they do is their computers and electromagnetics, they're locking onto gravity sources. The actual spacecraft is pulled by gravity sources that are locked onto, and it's also pushed by planets behind. There's never-ending supply, billions and billions of planets out there that all create gravity. And that is the power of space travel, and the secret of space travel is gravity. And it'll be an anti-gravity accelerator, is what it's going to be called. And even that can power the Earth right now. I do know how to build it. So with the right things falling my way, I would love to show somebody how this technology works. It's not just a dream, and it's not just fiction. Even science today is dropping the definition of fiction and fantasy. It seems like when we were children, everything we thought was fiction, from Buck Rogers and Star Trek and things like that, are all coming to pass. They're all coming to pass. They weren't fiction. They're actually reality. So that line between fantasy and reality is almost vanishing now. Another one of my favorite people of all times was Albert Einstein. What a genius. And I'm telling you, that man wasn't from here. No way. His theories on relativity and things, people and scientists are still working on his equations and that, and they're still proving him right. One of the favorite things that he did in his theory on relativity, he said that if the mind can conceive it, how could it not possibly be real? If it wasn't real, how could your mind even conceive it? And even with that philosophy, that's what I've always kind of worked on, is how could a mind conceive it if it's not real? If your mind can think of it and make it real, you can make it real. And that's what I've done. So anybody else can do this too. Albert Einstein was right. You know, everything that we thought was fiction, it's not fiction anymore, it's reality. Modern technology and electronics and that type of technology, they say, and I believe this, is advancing tenfold every 2 years. You buy a computer or anything, and 2 years later, it's completely outdated, it's worthless. I was born in 1948. I grew up in the 50s and 60s. I didn't miss a thing. I was there for the start of rock and roll. I was there for Chuck Berry and people like that, and the Beatles and Elvis, everything, the start of rock and roll all the way through. And when I was a kid, one invention came out that was called a transistor radio. It'd fit in your pocket. It was about that big, about like a cell phone, and it took a 9-volt battery, and you turn it on, and it was a radio, and you could carry it with you. And to everybody, that was the greatest invention in the world. We could listen to rock and roll music while walking around, and it was just unbelievable. And just from that time till now, what I've seen in my lifetime, in my 66 years, has just been amazing. The world has advanced thousands of years in just the last 50 years. Why is that? How did that happen? For thousands of years, the Earth has always been the same. Civilizations have pretty much always been the same. And why just in the last 50 or 60 years has there been a sudden burst in technology? I don't know how true it is, but I have a tendency to go along with maybe something like the Roswell incident. Do I believe in UFOs? Hell yes, I do. I've got plenty of video that I can show you. I've got photographs.